The Bamboo Project podcast starts in 3, 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, welcome to the Bamboo Project podcast. My name is DonivanGray, the future $10 billion man. On the way to 10 billion, I decided I'm going to help create 1,000 millionaires, including myself, and not by being a guru or selling a course, but by doing the things I already love to do every day and documenting my journey to get there. I figure I'll make all the mistakes so you don't have to. My name is DonivanGray, and this is how I will turn my life into a living. I'd like to start off by giving a shout out to all the people rocking with us and supporting the channel. We really appreciate you. We are currently streaming on all major streaming platforms such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Google Podcasts, Anchor. You name it, we on it. And if we not on it, we about to be on it. For everyone listening to this podcast and not watching it, you can find us on YouTube at The Bamboo Project. We have over 500 videos on our channel. Do you want to see our real estate journey? We got that. Do you want cooking tutorials inspired by Dr.Sebi? We got that. Do you want travel and lifestyle vlogs? Got it. Hair and makeup tutorials? Got it. Basketball? Got it. Turo? Got it. Candles? Got it. It's everything us. All the parts of the journey that do not make it to YouTube will be on our story. You can find me on Instagram at DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my phenomenal, beautiful, amazing girlfriend, Anita Byrne, ANETABURN. We made different playlists for all the things we are into, and you can find all of those links in the description box below. This may be your first time here, and if it is, welcome to the family. But for everyone else, it is chapter 4, page 5. You know, we're in chapter 4. I gotta get used to the new numbers and stuff now. That means we did this 4 years in a row, guys. We've been doing the podcast for 4 years consistently, never miss 1 week. All right, right. 4 long, hard years.
We done traveled, we done
a lot. Did a podcast in Philly, did a podcast in Atlanta. So today's date is Wednesday, April 19th, and it is 7:09 p.m. All right. So before we get into the topics of the day, we always start off with screen time check. That is when we check our phone. Me, you, Melissa, so we all know how much time we are spending on our phone, because if we don't take advantage of our phone, then our phone is taking advantage of us. And with the new AI, man, it's not that hard anymore. Okay, it's getting better and better and better. All right, so last week, every day, I spent an average of 8 hours and 45 minutes on my phone every single day. Now, I haven't even looked at it yet, right? But my assumption is I thought Twitter would be higher. Listen, Twitter got me in the chokehold, or at least I thought it did. It's number 3. Number 1 is YouTube. Okay, I could do that. I'm not mad at YouTube being number 1. Twitter is number 3. Instagram is number 2. So YouTube is at 11 hours and 55 minutes. Instagram is at 11 hours and 23 minutes. And Twitter is at 7 hours and 45 minutes. So Twitter's like an hour a day, a little bit more. Instagram is like what? Let me see. 12. It's probably like an hour and 20 minutes a day. I'm assuming something like that. And YouTube is 12 hours a day. I picked up my phone on average 124 times per day.
Jeez.
It's actually down. So.
No, because you want to talk about me crazy. 124 times, that's crazy.
It's really not.
A day? That's crazy.
We know you're going to say 200. All right. My first used app after pickup was Instagram, then Square, and then Safari. Yeah, categories: 21 hours on social, entertainment 11 hours or 12 hours, and productivity and finance was also 12 hours. Baby girl, what is your screen time?
My screen time for last week, I spent on average 5 hours and 56 minutes per day on my phone.
How much?
Huh?
How much?
5 hours and 56 minutes.
I don't believe that. Sound like cap.
5 hours, 56 minutes. So Instagram is first, then for 8 hours, then Gmail for 4.5 hours, then TikTok for 3 hours. Square for camera for 3 hours, messages for 3 hours, music for 2.5, and then Square for 2 hours. I picked up my phone on average 125 times a day.
Exactly.
With Gmail being first.
Right. How much I pick up my phone per day? 124 times.
Sir.
So get your pickups together, Melissa. You know, I need you to get down to where we at, the 124 number. Okay.
Oh, okay.
So actually, it might be 121. Let me check it again, just to make sure.
Now it's 121.
Okay. Okay. All right, and then subscriber check. All right, so on Bamboo Project YouTube channel, we are at 6,459 subscribers. And then on the Candle channel, we are at 329 subscribers. So everybody, tell a friend, follow us on the Ember Candle Code YouTube channel. So I'm hoping today sounds a lot better. This year has been very kind of weird as far as the mic is concerned. I feel like there has been a lot of issues with the mic. We were trying to figure out what to do as far as fixing the mic. I think it sounds a lot better. So one thing that I'm going to start doing now is I'm going to like kind of record a little bit of me talking on the podcast and then stop the audio, listen to it, and see how it sounds. Because normally what I do is I kind of have in my mind already what the setting should be like, and then some weeks it'll just change. For like, I won't do anything different, but it'll just sound different the following week. And that's kind of the worst thing, because at that point you don't really know, like there's no variables that would add or change really. It'd be different if I was changing different settings and I got different sound, right? So that's one thing I'm gonna start doing. Also, Melissa bought some cords, like the new USB cords. Not new, well, they're new to us, but they aren't new in terms of what they do. Because the old ones we have, I feel like they just started to wear down. And I think that might be a problem with the reason why the mic was being the way it was. It sounds a lot better to me right now. But again, how I hear it right now is normally how I hear it when I'm recording. And then I put it on to edit. And I'm like, why does it sound like this? Like, this sounds crazy. So I'm hoping this is going to be for chapter 4 for everybody. It's going to sound a lot better. So we were going to get a new mic. We weren't going to get one. We were considering like maybe we need a new mic, because I personally like mics that are like you talking to the top of it as opposed to the front, because that way I can point the mic at me. I don't have to have it like in front of my face, if that makes sense. So that's something I really wanted to do. But okay, this week is a lot of stuff that happened this week. A whole lot of things that went on this week. And this is my first time in a while where I've actually had the mental capacity and the time to write down the things that went on throughout the week. Because a lot of times in the last, maybe like 2 or 3 months, honestly, mostly this year, I try to remember what happened the week before the day of the podcast. Like in the morning, I'll try to remember it before the podcast starts. I'll try to remember something that happens that day is what I'll talk about. Last week, I talked about the brand deal that we had got an email about. Turns out it was a scam. So very good scam, by the way. Like, for the scams that I've seen, this one was really, it was good. It was good. So there was a company that I might have heard of called Vista Create or Vista Print, and they had acquired a company called Crello. So this other person had said they were working with Crello, and they've emailed us multiple times, right, about the situation like this, and I always kind of felt like it was a scam. I'm like, yeah, the email seems odd. They call us the Bamboo Project, which is, kind of strange. If you watch the channel, you wouldn't really call us that. That'd be kind of weird. Like I said, we've probably gotten like 4 emails from them over the last 6 to 8 months. And then for whatever reason, the last time they emailed us, it was a lot more professional of an email, right? They had used infographics from the Vista Create and Vista Print. They had links, they had pricing. I might put some of it on the screen so I can see it. And honestly, the thing that really made me consider it as an opportunity was when I put the email into ChatGPT, it said that it was an email that was used for, it said that this email seems like an email that someone would use when they're using a software to send out emails. That's what they said, right? So I'm like, okay, at least it doesn't say this seemed like a scam or it seemed like spam, because I have put emails into ChatGPT and it said, yeah, this looks very suspicious. It did not say that for this one. So I was like, okay, that's a one green flag. And then the email again was different than the ones before. Before it was just mostly words, just in bold print. This is what we want. This is what we like, your content, whatever. This one had like pricing strategies, and then it said, hey, why don't you guys? No, it said go on the website and fill out some information as far as like signing the contract or something like that. I'm like, all right, cool. So we click on the well, I wouldn't call it really a link. It's more of like a button that they had in the email. So click on the button and it takes you to a website that is called vistacreate.org, right? And it's a Vista website. Now, when you click on any of the buttons on there, the website then takes you to vistacreate.com, right? So at first you can't really tell that's what's happening. You just kind of, it looks almost the same. Like it looks almost identical when you go from vistacreate.org to Vistaprint or Vistacrella, whatever.com. So the odd thing was all of the links would take you to the homepage of the actual website. So I'm like, okay, that's kind of interesting. And then honestly, I think the real reason why it didn't really get us is because of the timing it took for them to respond back to what was happening. Mind you, they did respond again, but they had said, hey, you have to fill out this cabinet, to get your money. Now, the other red flag that I saw when we got the email had said that we take all types of currency. Like they said, even crypto. That to me is odd, because I can't see a reputable brand saying that we like not accept crypto, but they will pay us in crypto if we want that. So I said, okay, these are just two red flags. And then I went online to kind of look it up again to see what other people think about it. Didn't really find anything. I said, okay, cool. I did not see anything, but I came across another person on YouTube who had a similar situation happen to them, but it wasn't from this company. When I was watching the video, I'm like, oh, this seems very similar to what we were having. And the other thing for me, which is why I'm always skeptical. No, I'm definitely always skeptical. The thing that made me less skeptical was the fact that they didn't want any information from us. If they had said, hey, we need your like address, we need your like something personal they could use to take something from us, that's when I would have been like, oh, okay, this seems suspicious. Or if they want us to send them money. So they were like, hey, we'll send you money, we'll send it to your PayPal account, we'll send it to your bank account, we'll send it to whatever you want to send it to, we'll send you the money. I'm like, all right. But then the guy has said in the video that how it works is once you, I don't know if you click a link or if you go to there's something, once you download something from there, that's how you end up with the problem that they have. So because they didn't respond fast enough, when I watched that, I'm like, okay, we shouldn't download anything because that's what the person said. So after that, we never really got a response back from them. Yeah, it was downloaded. We don't know if we have any type of stuff on our computer. We have to check. But as of right now, we haven't lost any money. Nothing's been crazy. And like she said, when she tried to download it, nothing happened. So, or the computer wouldn't open it. So that's, we might have been saved by the bell. It was just, very interesting. That was just one piece of the week. Okay. Now, second part of the week. Okay. Maybe you guys could tell me what I talked about in the last podcast that may have made people feel some type of way. Because I had an investor, or at least I thought it was an investor, I don't know what I would call him at this point, who had loaned us money in the beginning of the year, right? And they had called because they were upset that we paid off Kiva last week instead of paying them, right? So this conversation was about a 2-hour conversation, which became a heated conversation. There's so many things in my head in regard to that conversation that I'm just trying to flush it out in terms of just the storyline and where it happened. Like, you know, the timeline of it, not the storyline, the timeline of how the things happened. So I'll try and add some context for everybody that's listening. So this person lent us a couple $1,000s, right? And we had a conversation that we would pay them back at the end of the year, the full amount of money, right? They had gave us some of the money and not all of the money in the beginning, and they wanted to see what our payment history would be with them before they give us or release the rest of the money to us, right? So we had a situation earlier in the year where we were about to sign our permanent booking or permanent location or semi-permanent location / membership at one of the craft fairs. So they had wanted $1,400 for the month, like the whole rent for that month, and they also wanted a deposit, which is an additional $1,400. But there was no indication of that beforehand. Like, hey, we're gonna need a deposit, and you have to pay the rent for that place. So it caught us off guard with that. So we asked them, hey, do you mind giving us the rest so we can pay for this, because we don't have the money to cover this surprise $1,400 expense? And they were kind of like, oh, well, you know, I thought that we were going to have some type of payments first. I know you only paid us once, but I thought it was going to be more that you would pay us before we give the rest. And I'm like, listen, that was the plan, but the opportunity that we had is now requiring more money. An unexpected expense comes up. So they're like, okay, I'll give you the rest of it. And I'm like, all right, cool. That's maybe like February or something, right? So now March comes, and Melissa and I we're doing a podcast, and one of the episodes, Melissa talks about how we would allocate the money, right? And one of the things she had said was we could take the money that we have just in general from the fairs and put that towards paying off one of the lenders to then increase the amount of money that we would get back from them. It was kind of just an idea that she had threw out there, because that's kind of what we've done in the past to some degree. It's kind of like a form of consolidating your debt. So she, like I said, she threw the idea out there, and then we had got a call from the same investor, and they were saying that they weren't really they didn't really like that kind of conversation, and they wanted us to make sure that we prioritize them and that they don't fall behind any of the institutional lenders that have lent us money, right? So I'm like, sure. I'm like, at this point, you are in the group. You're a part of, like, we are prioritizing the people that are closest to us first, and then institutional lenders second. Like, that's how we're looking at it. So he was kind of like, all right, so, you know, what's the plan for how I'm going to get paid back? Like, you know, I don't mind if it's at one, like, lump sum. You know, I don't know if it's going to be like an amount every single month that's constant for the whole year. If it's going to be a little bit now, some later, you know, what's the plan? So, well, first he was saying he doesn't really care about what the plan was, as far as, like, it's a weird thing that I think people do sometimes, where they try to act more disinterested so that they don't seem like it's that big of a deal. if that makes sense. So he had said, like, I don't really care about the plan. But for me, I'm like, no, I'm going to tell you what the plan is so that there's no confusion about anything. Like, I don't want it to come later. You're like, I don't really know what happened or how we ended up here, right? So I'm like, the plan is we are going to use the money that we're making from the fair right now to be able to buy more inventory at a lower cost, because we are going to switch suppliers from this super expensive that we are paying to significantly lower, right? This month, the amount we're going to pay you, we're going to use it to put towards that supplier or those suppliers, because we're making so much money this month. And as I said to you guys before, April will be a lower month because we're going to, like a transitionary period where we're like, okay, it takes a long time for the stuff to get here, but we have to still buy it early. So I'm like, okay, we're going to use it to buy that. And I said, the plan that I have for you is to kind of give you like a large amount of money all at once within 6 to 8 months. It don't have to even go to a year. That's what my thought process was. I'm like, look, this month, you're not going to get anything. The next month, you might get like less than the $500 a month or something in that ballpark. And then the month or two after that, you're going to get like $1,000 and $1,200, then the whole amount that we owe you, right? He goes, okay, that's fine with me. That's cool. So I go, okay, so that was like in March, right? When we were doing Chelsea like 3 weeks in a row. So last week, when I talk about how I'm upset by the fact that people are doubting us trying to pay them back and people don't have faith in the candles, he decides that this is the time that he wants to use to call me, because he heard me say on the podcast that we paid off Kiva, right? So we had owed Kiva like $830, something like that. And if y'all don't know, Kiva is a crowdfunding platform where people donate little bits amounts of money, similar to like GoFundMe and Kickstarter, something like that. So they'll donate like $50 here, $100 here until you reach your goal. So we had decided, like, okay, if we can pay them off, they'll probably give us a bigger amount of money that we can then reallocate to the business to make more money, right? So we end up paying them off. So I get a phone call from them and they are not happy with that, right? So for me, there's a lot of issues that I had with the phone call, because like I said, the phone call was 2 hours long. During the phone call, they were alluding to the fact that they don't trust us to pay them back, because I said in January that we were not going to prioritize institutional lenders before them, right? So this is coming right off the podcast. Honestly, the podcast just went up maybe within a couple hours, and I'm getting this phone call. So now I'm like, I know you can't be serious after you just heard me talk about the 2 conversations I've had with people about the same topic, and now you want to call me about this, right? But my mindset is like, okay, I'm going to try and like listen to how they're feeling and go from there, right? So we're having a conversation. And the conversation just starts going like left. We had already talked about this in terms of what the plan was in March. But they felt like I had said to them, or they had said that I told them before, I was not going to prioritize institutional lenders over them. So during the conversation, right, I start thinking to myself, I'm listening as it's getting more heated and heated. I'm like, you know what, Donovan, you need to be as honest as you can be, because this is something I kind of talked about on the podcast before. It's something I do with Melissa, in a sense, where we kind of try to get to the root of it, of how we're feeling. A lot of times I feel like people don't address how they feel about the situation. They just kind of respond to how they feel about a situation. So as we're talking about it, I'm like, okay, you know what? Let me take a pause. I'm like, they don't know how I feel about what's happening right now. So let me tell them. I go, hey, I am very hurt by the fact that you think we wouldn't pay you back. Right? And this person said that that's a weak thing to say. Right? And I'm just like, wow. I'm like, in my mind, I'm like, that's crazy. So now I'm already like, now that's gotten me even higher up on I'm even more upset totem pole, right? So I'm like, okay, these comments like that kind of show me where that person stands in our relationship. So the conversation keeps going on and on and on. Something else that comes up is this. I don't know what to call it. Like, I feel like if y'all might have been around these kind of people, they're usually white when that do this. I don't really know of many black people that do it. It might be more black people that have money, right? It's a thing where they try to pretend like they don't care about money. Earlier in the year, when they lent us this money, they start kind of floating around the idea, right, that they don't want to make any money off of us, right? That's the idea that they floating around out there. It's like, hey, you know, I'm giving you this money that I would normally keep for myself, that, you know, I do invested into things, and I'm just saying, you know, that technically giving you the money, I'm kind of losing out on money when I give it to you. So, you know, I'm like, do you want to charge interest? Like, that's like, if you want to charge interest, I don't care. A lot of y'all already know I've paid a large amounts of interest to people multiple times. And the reason I always say I do that is because it's less about the interest amount of money than it is about showing this person like, hey, I really appreciate what you're doing. So that's why I've paid people 30% interest. I've even doubled people money before in terms of what they lend us, because I'm like, I know that if you lend me $1,000, I'm going to make $5,000 with it. So I don't mind giving you $1,400 back, because I appreciate the fact that you really helped me out and I needed it. So if you want to charge interest, I don't really care about that, right? So I'm telling them like, yeah, listen, if you want, like, what's a good amount to you? I'm what, 10%? Oh yeah, I was thinking the same thing. I'm like, all right, cool. Like, that's fine. If that's what you want to do, that's cool with me, right? So then in this conversation, the person starts kind of putting this idea out there where they're trying to play like this altruistic character, where I don't even want to make any money off of you. I did this out of goodness of my heart. I just wanted to help you guys out because I saw you guys needed some help. And then, like I said, this is the thing with me. A lot of times people say things to me and I just kind of I don't really say anything. I'm like, I hear what you're saying. I pick up on the nuance. I can read between the lines. I know you're taking shots and jabs and you're being a hypocrite, but I just don't say anything. I can see the emotional immaturity that the other person has, right? I'm just like, okay, it's not my place to say anything. I don't know what they're going through. I'm not really going to respond, right? But as I said in the last podcast, I'm getting that philosophy is dwindling a lot, because at no point do the other person kind of go, you know what? You know, I think I was bugging. They just keep doing the same thing. So I'm like, who is benefiting from this? Because I'm like, when I have these conversations, I'm actually getting hurt by the conversation because the person is saying things that I feel like about me that are not true, right? Then it also shows me how they feel about me. I'm like, this is hurtful if you think these kind of things. So between them and other people I've talked to, that's the kind of where my head is at. So I'm like, okay, if I feel, or they'll even throw little jabs and insults in there. Like I said last week when I was talking to one of my family members about the candles, and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna pay you off from this. They start snickering and laughing. I'm like, where does that coming from, right? So again, after that conversation I had with my family members, and I said on the podcast, they want to call me and more or less say the same thing, right? So now that they keep kind of saying this, like, oh, I don't really want to make any money off of you. I'm just doing it because it's a nice thing to do. And I'm like, wait a minute. I'm like, why are you saying that? Like, you absolutely want to make money off of us. And I don't mind it. What I'm not going to do is allow hypocrisy to just say, I don't want to make money off of you, but then charge interest, right? And that goes into that thing I said earlier, where it's like a cultural thing, I feel like, where y'all know how y'all watch some of those like Netflix shows, like might be like Succession, or like usually like the royal family type of stuff, and how they kind of deal with money. Or even if you think of like the stereotypical entitled rich white child, right? That's kind of the idea or the concept of what I'm explaining, right? Where they look at money like, oh my God, money is so bad, I hate it. But then they have all this money and they spend it on frivolous things, right? And you're like, I don't understand why you are saying one thing but acting very different. Melissa has told me a situation, because I'm like, I know she was doing stuff very similar to that, but I can't remember the exact context of what she was doing.
It would just kind of be, it's just, I don't know, it's kind of like a cognitive dissonance.
Mm-hmm.
And also I feel like it may have to do with how they perceive me. Because they may be talking about something, but they may think that I've never experienced it, or they may just kind of maybe have thoughts like, oh man, maybe I shouldn't be talking about this, maybe, or maybe I shouldn't have said this, or maybe I sound a certain type of way. So whenever they have that thought, then it'll change. Like, not necessarily that it'll change. I don't know how to explain it. It's like they want to talk about it. It's like, my friend, she has this private jet. It's disgusting. It's really disgusting. And it's like, I can never live like that. Like all of my jets are like back home with my mom. But it's not my jet though. It's my mom's jet. So it's different. That's kind of the conversation. Yeah.
And I feel like that's the same energy that I was having during this conversation, where they were trying to shit on institutional lenders. Like, oh my God, even that was kind of how they lent us money. They were like, yeah, institutional lenders, they ain't shit. They don't care about you. They just want to make money off of you. That's it. That's all they want to do. Right. And as I'm hearing this in the beginning, I'm like, but you're charging. I'm just like, I don't even know why you're saying this. 'Cause I'm like, I don't know if you're trying to make me think a certain type of thing, or if it makes yourself feel better, but I'm like, sure, whatever. I'm like, if it doesn't hurt me, you're not saying anything bad to me. So that's what you want to think, by all means. But now we fast forward to now, I'm like, okay, now you're taking shots at me, saying things about me. Now I have an issue with that. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, stop saying that you're not trying to make money off of us. They're like, oh, what you mean? I'm not trying to make money off of you. What are you talking about? I'm like, you are literally charging us interest on the money that we gave you. Well, that's not really making money, because if you think about it, I would be losing money if I didn't charge you interest. So I'm technically just getting money back that I would have made if I invested it. And then technically I would have made even more money. And then I'm like, so then you're still losing money at the end of the day. Because if you're saying that you would have made more than 10%, but you gave us money, but your whole issue is you're charging us interest to not lose money, you're still losing money. But the reason why it's illogical, just the whole conversation, is because it comes from a place of hypocrisy. I don't know what causes the hypocrisy, but that's where it's coming from. So I'm just like, just stop saying that. Right now, it's like, you know what? I don't want to charge you interest. I don't want to charge you interest. Just forget it. I'm not gonna. I'm like, no. You already said you would charge us interest. Like, then in the conversation, I'm like, honestly, the lender we just got money from, Kiva, is 0% interest. They're like, you know what? They're like, yeah, just keep your money. I don't want the interest or whatever. And I'm like, if we're being, it's like, it's so funny. If we're being honest, they're coming off as worse than the institutional lender that they were trying to shit on before. And I'm like, at the end of the day, the people that lent us money is not even Kiva. It's people that we know, or most of them that we know, have said, hey, I'm going to donate $25 to this website or to you through the website, and you'll get the money. So when we pay the loan back, they get the money. But that didn't matter to them. They were just like, well, it's still technically through a person, another third party. So they have the money and it's still different. And you're prioritizing them before us. Right? So I said, the conversation going on and on and on. And I'm like, okay. I could understand if you were upset by the fact that we took the money and put it towards a thing that doesn't help anybody. Like, you know what, Melissa, let's go out. We're going to go to Japan. Let's take a vacation to Japan. Let's get the first class flight. Let's get it. We got to get some new clothes. Let's get the nicest. Let's go out and get some expensive clothing, some new sneakers. We're going to eat the finest food when we go out there. And then when we come back, let's just go splurge some more, right? I can see that if somebody say, hey, Donovan, you owe us X amount of dollars, and I see that you are doing a lot of, you bought a car, you traveling, what's going on, right? But when we take the money and invest it or pay people back that lent us money to then be able to re-borrow more money, my mind goes to, it helps everybody, right? Because us having more money means we can make more money to pay people back quicker. They didn't care about that. Another comment they made that I felt I took offense to was, and again, it's just like hypocritical idea. I don't know how or where it comes from, like a form of cognitive dissonance. I don't know. They said, I only loaned you the money to get you over the hump. I didn't want to be a part of your path to $5 billion or whatever, right? And I'm like, my brain's like, where did it even come from? Because the reason why I start thinking like, where did that even come from is because it's not related to this conversation, but it still falls in line with the idea of this them versus us in terms of billionaires versus non-billionaires. Because I feel like in this situation, I'm bridging that gap where it's like that billionaire that you so-called hate are still normal people that are trying to get to that level. People want to go. It's such a weird thing. So even I have family members that are just the same way. They want to help you get to a certain place in your life, but will shit on the people that are at that certain place you're trying to get to. Right? So they'll be like, hey, like, I like what you're doing. I like that you're striving for this thing. It looks really, I love that. But other people who buy real estate ain't shit. And it's like, a big one is the idea of like having a bunch of houses and charging a lot of money, right? This is a conversation I've had before where they'll go, oh my God, they should just allow people to just have rent be lower because it's too high right now. And I'm like, we had a property, right? That we're going to rent out for the price that the market says. Because if we don't make any money, right? They understand that. But then when you put it in the concept of the people who have money are doing the same thing, it's like, no, they can't be. They can't be doing the same thing, right? So when they made that comment about, I'm not trying to help you get to this $5 billion thing that you're trying to do, I just want to get you over the hump. I'm like, any help from when we start to when we get there is helping us get to that point. So if that's how somebody feels, you should not loan or invest money or help out the person trying to get to that goal if you are then saying, I don't want to help you get to that goal, right? And then when I took offense to that because I'm thinking to myself, anybody that listens to the podcast knows it's not 5 billion. They know it's 10. You cannot hear the podcast and say 5 billion. Anybody knows a podcast, if I ask you, what is my goal to get to? What $1 billion man do I want? Is 10 billion, right? So I'm like, the whole $5 billion number was just kind of like, it was a subtle shot that I felt, right? So then I'm like, okay, I'm like, all right. First, you have the issue about saying that we're prioritizing them over you, right? By paying off other people. Then you have the comment about the $5 billion thing. Then you have the comment about not charging us interest, right? And I'm like, okay. A lot of this is making me feel very uncomfortable with our relationship, because another comment they made was, I think it was something like, I'm not trying to help the business, right? I'm trying to help you. I think it was something along those lines. And to me, I take that as again, go back into the same concept of, I'm separating your goal and what you want to do from you, right? So as I'm having the conversation, I start thinking to myself, okay, again, what is the problem here? And a lot of times conversations, or at least angry dialogues or whatever, come down to how people are feeling, and not necessarily what they are saying, right? And one thing that I've talked about on the podcast a lot is trying to get to the point where I can hear the person's emotional words as opposed to what they're actually saying. That's always my goal to get to, because if I'm talking to you about the words that you're using, but you're feeling something else, then we're going to just keep having this rock me the hard place thing where we don't get any further than this. So I'm like, okay, I'm thinking to myself, I'm like, okay, the best way to understand situations like this is to use emotional language in my head to understand what they're feeling, right? Go straight down to the basic level of what the person is saying. And I found something interesting from doing that is, I feel like you can pretty much do this for anything because the tangible items don't matter. So what I said to them was, I said, listen, you don't trust me because I didn't keep my word, right? So you don't trust me to pay you back. Honestly, payback isn't even, I don't even need that part of it. It's, you don't trust me because I didn't keep my word, right? And when I said it, they were like, yes, absolutely. They were like, yes, that's it, right? But they also made a comment where it's kind of like, I'm okay with you saying that as the reason why we're here, because I don't look as bad when you say it that way, right? But when I said it, I got the tone from them that they were like, oh, like, yeah, like, yes, yeah, yes. That's, you hit it right on the nail. So by this point, though, so many other comments were made that to me it sours the relationship, because it kind of shows me how the person views us and what we're trying to do, or views me and how we're trying to go about the candles, paying people back, and how much little faith they have in what we're trying to do. When it comes to having the emotional conversation with somebody, right? I think it's always important to have a way to rectify it afterwards. So I think when I said, you don't trust me because I did not keep my word. So now I have to come to, what is the thing that'll make you feel comfortable? Like, what will make you feel better after the first thing has already been said? I've already admitted to the thing that you feel. I see it, I understand it, I feel it. What comes next, right? And I'm like, okay, would you want us to pay? I said, how about this? We'll pay you $500 a month until you get paid off. Even though, one, that was already the plan we had to do, or plan we had together originally, right? Then we both had a conversation that we would switch the plan. this is what the person wants, right? And then another thing I didn't really like, when I told them that would handicap us, like it would cut us off at the legs to take the money that we made to give to them. At this moment, they were kind of like, yeah, I don't know what to tell you, right? So there's a phrase and a quote that all money isn't good money, right? And I feel like this falls into that category. If a person sees what we're doing and they still don't believe in us, is that someone I would want in my circle? I don't think it is. And going forward, that's always something I'm gonna have to think about now. It's like, okay, what kind of relationship will I have from this? Because there are people who lent us money who like, listen, I know y'all getting to, I know y'all trying to figure it out. Y'all gonna figure it out, and then we're gonna I'm gonna get paid back. I already know that, and I appreciate them more because to me, it's about the relationship that we have. I know that we are going to have this relationship forever. And if it comes down to making money or whatever the situation might be, I'm going to pay them back tenfold. They might borrow money from me when I have money. And that's how I'm thinking about it. But this person is so short-sighted that they felt like we would not. They lost faith in us and got scared off of something so trivial as paying off the other loan. And honestly, that's another word too. After the convo, I started thinking about it more, right? Because I was visibly upset about that conversation. And I tried to boil it down to what emotional words does this person, how are they feeling? Like, what is going on? And the feeling that I got was that they are scared. They are scared that they lent us money and that we're going to run off with it, right? And there was so many more comments. Another one was like, we're not making any capital. We're not building our own capital. We're just borrowing money to pay people off. And I'm like, how can you even think that if you saw us make $5,000 in January, $10,000 in February, $16,000 in March, if we are making that money, that's us building capital. We take all the money and reinvest it back into we buy more craft fairs, we buy more inventory, we pay off some debt. We are buying more supplies. That's what we're doing with the money. But to then say that, it's like, okay, tell me how you really feel. That's where that comes from. So while we're having that conversation, the person starts saying that I'm making them feel really small by what I'm saying. And I'm just kind of like, people really love to play the victim. And this is a lot of times why I don't really say how I'm feeling to people, because once I say it, they're like, oh man, now my feelings are hurt. Why would you say that to me? And I'm like, you were doing the same thing to me 5 minutes ago. Now that it's back on you, it's like, oh my God, I can't believe that you would say that to me. That's so terrible, right? So I was trying to figure out how I would even address this on the podcast. I was trying to figure out how I would even talk to this person. Honestly, I'm still not really sure, because some of y'all may already know my brain goes to like, just don't talk to the person ever again. Like, pay them and that's it. Like, that's it. I can never tell whether that's good or bad or not. I've had enough people around me that are no longer around me that don't change my life, that makes me realize that not talking to people doesn't change my life, and it probably won't change their life. Like, nobody's life really gets changed from it. But I don't have to have that energy around me. So who knows? Maybe later I might feel different. As of right now, that's kind of where my mindset is at when it comes to people that are kind of in that situation or who are acting like that. And I'm telling whoever's listening to the podcast. Oh, shout out to Deli. I know you listen to the podcast. Shout out to my guy. It's not for you, but I just remembered that you listened to it if you're still here. So if you feel that you want to take shots at me or Melissa and what we're trying to do. That's not the same as constructive criticism. That's not saying like, hey guys, I feel like you guys should try this, or what's the plan for that, or I'm seeing that this is like, that's very different than taking shots. Okay, I'm always open to have the conversation with somebody. I know when it goes from critique to insults. It's not that close. Like, it's very clear to see when somebody goes, hey, I think that spending money on X will not give you as much money in return as you want, and spending it on Y will make you more money. That's a critique. Saying you don't know how to spend your money is an insult, right? Very, very clear to see those two things. So that was part of last week, right? That was just 2 hour long conversation. But like I said, there's a lot of stuff that happened last week. So next thing on the list that we have is the house. So I went out to Philly yesterday, Monday, excuse me. It's my first time being out there this year, honestly. My mom drove me out there, and man, the house doesn't look as bad as I thought it would, right? I have some pictures of it. I'll post it on the screen so y'all can see it. It's definitely salvageable. It's 100% salvageable. It's the kind of house that an investor would buy if, like, it's an investor house now. Like, you would see it, go, oh, I could put a kitchen in there and a bathroom in there. I'll buy that. That's kind of where the house is at. So there's some odd things I saw that was there. One thing I saw that was kind of strange. Someone had added another ring into the house. There was a ring on the floor. And I'm wondering if they put the ring there to see when we come to the house, if they could still keep coming in and stealing stuff. I don't know. The kitchen cabinets are in the middle of the floor. I think I showed you that before in the past. I'm going to put that on the screen again so you can see it. There were some holes in certain parts of the house in terms of where the kitchen was at and where the bathroom sink was at. The vanity upstairs, I really loved. The floating vanity, which is amazing. It was beautiful. They stole that. But, you know, it's kind of like, yeah, I don't know. I'll be thinking, like, is it possible that the person that was buying the house robbed us? You know, who knows? It's a lot of things that could have happened. So we were out there. We got there maybe around 12-ish, 12:30. And we called the police to fill out a police report, right? So the police took about 3 hours to get to the house. So that was also a very annoying thing. So we had just kind of sat there just waiting for somebody to come, because you don't want to call them. They come and you're not there. So my mom and I kind of talking about, you know, what the plans with the house. She said she tried to do Airbnb. And I'm kind of like, there's so much that's required for me to get to that point of Airbnb that I don't necessarily think that is the best thing to go. So one of the things here's the path of doing Airbnb, right? We would have to put like 25K into fixing the house. That's getting appliances, that's getting a water heater, that's getting the bathroom renovated, as far as getting a sink put in there on the first and second floor. For some reason, the toilet upstairs has some black stuff in it, and I don't know if that's because they pulled a pipe out or something broke, but that probably needs to be fixed as well. It wasn't always like that. That's crazy. It was definitely not like that before. So maybe somebody took a shit in there. I don't know what's going on with that, but it was some black looking stuff in the toilet. So we had to renovate all of that stuff, then get furniture in the house, then put the house on Airbnb, then find somebody to list the house, or not list, to manage the house. And then we'd have to get enough bookings to cover the $1,600 a month which we have to pay towards the hard money lender, right? Long enough for us to be able to refinance, which means we have to get our credit up first to then refinance the house, to then make a couple $100, maybe $1,000 extra a month. And it's technically illegal to have in Philadelphia. So that was always a risk of that. And I'm like, do I want to do that? I'm like, not really. Like, that's not really something I'm really trying to do. The other option is, can't really tell you. That's kind of it. Let the house go. So the main reason I went out there is because, on suggestion from Tori, the best idea or thing left to do with the house is to kind of just file an insurance claim with it and just see, you know, how much money I can get back from that. So, in regular Bamboo Project fashion, things aren't just A, B, C, D, E, right? So, I'm still on the fence as far as how they will give us the money back, right? And how much they will give us. There's a guy or family member that we have in South Carolina or some of the Carolinas, I don't know. He has his own contracting company. And he was just saying, funny enough, my mom had called him. He was like, yeah, someone just stole all my shingles off my house that I was renovating the other day. He's like, I called my insurance company. They just gave me they wrote me a check. And that was it. And I was like, damn, that's crazy. If our insurance is still up, because it says that it's supposed to expire, but I got an email that it was automatically renewed. So I'm not really sure what the deal is with that, right? And now I think about it, I feel like they would still give me the money, because I'm like, the insurance is kind of for the lender, but I don't know if the money goes to me or the lender. I feel like it'll probably go to me. I hope it goes to me, so we can allocate it how it needs to be allocated. So, like I said, for me, I called them the next day when I got home, the insurance company, and got a voicemail, right? No one answered the phone, and I'm like, all right, hopefully I'm going to try again the next day. They called me back, and I missed the call, so now we're going to see, I'll try and call them back I guess tomorrow and see if there's any changes in people answering the phone. At this point, like I said, the house, if we can get some money from the house to pay people off, I would be so ecstatic, just because there are people who had faith in us who throughout this whole process who I want to do right by immediately. Like those people, I'm like, okay, you believed in us. I want to make sure that you are good as fast as I can get you to be good, right? That's my thoughts on it. Now, not really sure how the process is gonna go. I'll keep it updated and see what happens if we can get this situated very quickly. I have the police report in my pocket. I think I just show them, and I think we just go from there. Now, another house situation, right? Which I think is kind of funny. Some of y'all may remember that there was a woman that lived in the area, right? And we had talked to her. We had talked to her about kind of watching the house, and she was like, all right, cool. She was doing it for us, right? She actually kind of reached out to us to do it. She's an older lady, lives in the area for a long time. She was happy that we were renovating the house to make the block look better, right? She was my eyes and ears for the block. And I remember calling her throughout the process, like, hey, what's going on? Have you seen anything at the house? Never got a call back, never got a text, anything, right? I'm just like, oh, man. I'm like, that would have been helpful, because that's when the house got broken into or whatever. So she just randomly calls me like Friday out of nowhere. And I'm just thinking to myself, what the heck? I'm like, why? I was not expecting any call from her. So she tells me that she has a family member who had cancer in another state, and she was there for 7 months. I think in Arizona. And to me, I'm very sign aware or coincidence aware. And for her to have been gone for the time period that the house went on the contract, went on the market, went on the contract it was broken into, I really feel like there's a reason why we don't have the house. I still don't know what it is yet. Cause I'm like, we have the candles and that's great. But for her to not be there for that amount, for that time period when everything happened, is kind of crazy to me. So when I went out there, she was outside like, oh yeah, hey, how you doing? She's like, I'm doing fine. How's it? What's going on? Cause she had actually called because she had said that there was a lot of like doors on the house. And she didn't know if I had sold it. She didn't know if the city took it over, and she wanted to call to see what was going on. So I just kind of, we had the conversation about it. We got broken into a bunch of times and so on and so forth. But like I said, it was just crazy to me that she was just gone. Like, if that did not happen during that time period, she would have been able to call me, because she would call me before. She would be like, hey, there's a guy at the house right now. Do you know who that is? Is there something's happening? Somebody pull something out. Do you see who that is? I'd be like, yeah, that's the contractor. That's the other guy, the electrician, whatever. And she's like, okay, cool. Just, letting you know. I'm like, all right, thank you. So then for her to be gone at that exact moment, I don't know if you want to call it fate, coincidence, luck for the person who broke into the house. I don't know what words you want to use, but I just find it very interesting. That's my phrase to use for it. But I'm gonna keep you updated again, like I said, with the house. I'm hoping I get in contact with the insurance people before the next podcast. So the next topic is a company called Honeycomb, right? So they had called us a while ago. They left a message or email, a voicemail, and I think it's called Honeycomb Credit. And they seem to really like our Instagram and our website, and they was like, "Oh my God, like I feel like we'd be a great fit." So we're doing like some research into them, seeing who they are, whatever. And they are similar to Kiva as a crowdfunding platform, but they do like way more money than Kiva. So we had the phone call, the original one. Melissa talked to one of the colleagues that work over there. And on the phone, she was like, "Oh my God, I love the candles. I might have to like get one of these. This is such a great thing. I feel like you guys are like really on brand for what we do for you guys." Because what they say that they do is they like to invest into like brick and mortar businesses to get them to expand. But they also do other stuff as far as like our situation, because that's one of the reasons why we thought we would not go with them, because they only do brick and mortar places. So we having that conversation. She goes, "Okay, cool. I'm gonna set you up with the next meeting or the next step to get the money, get the funding." We're like, "All right, cool. We're excited. We're great." So now we're having a call with somebody else. I don't know if he's higher than her, a different department than she was in, but this is the person that kind of onboards you to getting money, right? So we're talking to them, and you know, he was very skillful and tactful in the way he had the conversation, because I felt like he was able to be straightforward and kind at the same time. As we're going on, he's asking about our story, asking what our plan is, how we're going to spend the money, where we're going to go with it. He's like, "All right, cool." He's like, "I think y'all like are a perfect fit for what we're doing." He goes, "Okay, what's your credit score?" We're like, 500. He's like, "Oh yeah." He's like, "Remember in the beginning of the phone call, I'm like, listen, he had said at any point in the phone call, if I say something that you don't like, you know, let me know and we can stop the conversation there, or vice versa," right? He was like, "Yeah, listen, we only lend to people that have a minimum of $600 credit score, excuse me." And we're like, "Ah, man." He was like, "Listen, when y'all get the score up, come back to us," because he was like, "Y'all are gonna be on it." Like he said, "You guys will be on the platform. Y'all just have to get your score up to 600, because we don't like to have the lenders on the platform that lend to you guys lend to somebody with less than 600 credit score." And he was like, "Yeah, we can give you $50,000. Like we could have got 50 grand right there if we had a 600 credit score or higher." So now we've added that as another side quest, or like we kind of moved it up on a totem pole of side quest, because 50 grand blows the company up. Like 50 grand, the $50,000 blows us up so quickly. And not only that, I feel as though with the 50,000, yeah, it just goes crazy. But he also said that like as soon as we get the score to 600, we'll be fine. And he said if we had a partner, because he asked Melissa her score and he asked me my score. He said if we had a partner that had a 600 credit score and had a stake in the business, they'd also lend us the money. So like I said, we're trying to figure out how fast we can get our score to 600. Mine's like 497 right now. I didn't know you even get that low, honestly. I used to be at like the 700s, and then now I'm like, I was like high sixes. Then I just went down to 490 something. So I am excited for that, because that just lets me know that at some point during this year, we already have a connection to someone that has a large capital base, and they've already agreed to put us on the platform to raise the money. And like I said, it's so much money. Like at that, we have to keep like borrowing small amounts because we need a large amount. We have this inventory, there's fairs to book, there's marketing to do, there's so many things we have to do. And we're like, all right, we gotta like borrow 1,000 here, 2,000 here, 4,000 here, then try to figure out how to like flip it fast enough to then get to, making more money from wherever we're making money from. So that place is called Honeycomb Credit. I'm gonna keep you updated again with that, because I'm excited for that one. That one's a big one. Now the next topic is a company called Spaciously, right? So I may have talked about it in the past, as far as like last week or whatever. It's kind of like a craft fair situation, but how they work is they are the middleman between bigger brands, right? Multi-million-dollar brands, right? Now, how the partnership works is, once they approve you to be on the platform, you pretty much have access to be inside of Nordstrom, like as a pop-up. Like you do Nordstrom pop-up, you could do a Levi pop-up, you could do a Faraday pop-up, you could do, they have a lot of different stores on there that you could actually do a pop-up for. So they approved us over the last week, and funny enough, today, I guess the co-founder had emailed us and was like, hey, we have this spot coming up on Sunday that's available. Like, I know this is last minute, but do you want to do it? And we're like, absolutely. Like, what? Like, if you, this is my thing. I don't know how common it is for that email to go out, but the coincidence is the brand that asked us to come back, the brand that I think asked us to come is a brand that we had worked with in the last year. And it was one of the crazy things that we experienced, because we were doing a place called Grand Bazaar, right? And someone at Grand Bazaar had liked what we were doing so much, they had kind of put us in contact with a brand called Faraday. And we had did like a little pop-up inside their store. They were selling clothes up on the upper west side. And we were just like, it was fun to do. We never experienced it before. And this is probably this might have been 2 months into us selling candles at fairs. That was like February, right? Something like that. So we just started selling candles at fairs, and people asked us to come to do their events. So that same brand is the one that asked us to come on Sunday. And I'm wondering if the brand's kind of getting an alert who they let onto the platform. But I feel like that's so, because who put us on to that? Was it the
NYC.
But what do you mean? No, from last year.
Oh, last year.
Yeah, was it the owners?
I could check our email.
Yeah, because I'm like, I don't remember who the connect was to Faraday. Because I feel like they knew the owner.
It was Grand Bazaar.
But I felt like we had a contact with Faraday. I don't remember who she was, though. I don't think she was the owner, the one that we had talked to.
It was Mark.
Mark what?
Mark gave them our information.
Right, but who did we talk to at Faraday? Like who?
Doris.
Right, who was that?
She might have been the store manager.
Because I'm saying, I'm wondering if that person was able to see who's on the website.
Maybe.
And she's like, oh, I remember them. Like, I'll have them come over.
But maybe. I think she works at the store on Columbus, though.
I mean, that was last year. She might be a general type of manager.
I think they were opening another store too or something.
So that's something that would be kind of crazy too. Man, she still has a candle. She's like, oh, this candle was so good. I loved it. So we're gonna be there on Sunday. That one's gonna be kind of fun because that's gonna be in Manhattan, but in Lower Manhattan, which is kind of like our market for sure. I don't know what the foot traffic is gonna be like over there, but I do feel like it'll be fun to just try it out, see what happens, because they pretty much have it where you can just do pop-ups all month long. As long as they're available, you can just do one. And they don't charge you a fee necessarily. They just take 20% of whatever you make at the fair. So technically, depending on how much we make, we could pay less than what we do at Artisan Fleece right now. So we'd have to make $1,000 to them to take $200. When we were at Chelsea, we could make $300. They were still taking $225. Like that, regardless of how much we made, they were like, we are charging you $1,550 this week. Every day, that's $225. So it is what it is. So if we make 1,000, that means we keep 800 and they get 2. I'm perfectly fine with that. Like, I am like, that is great with me. If we make 500, they would keep $100. I'm cool with that. That's gonna be on Sunday, so y'all will see that in the vlog. And we're working on getting more of those vlogs out faster. So right now we're both simultaneously working on vlogs as we speak. Do you think that's gonna go up today or probably tomorrow?
Mine is probably gonna go up tomorrow.
Oh, I'm excited. Haven't watched it yet. So okay. Next topic is, bro, like I said, there's a lot happened last week. So next topic is a fragrance company reached out to us directly, right? A fragrance manufacturing company. So one of the problems I've always had with where we get our fragrances from now is I don't believe they're a manufacturer. I think they're like a middleman between a manufacturer, because one, the prices are so high, and they also don't seem like the type to manufacture fragrances. Their websites for fragrance manufacturers or any manufacturer usually looks very subpar, just because that's not their thing. But the company that we buy from has a very high-end tech website. So they said they found us on social media. They were like, oh, we love your social media. We saw your Instagram, and we would love to work with you guys and, you know, make fragrances for you. And we would love to just kind of grow with you guys. And they're in America, and they're closer than where we buy from now, and at a significantly lower price. And they said they can actually create our own custom fragrances, right? So listen, like I said, we're doing crazy things. And this is why I always be saying to people, right, where it's like, it would be different if we were trying to sell candles and nobody was buying them. Like, we were going to fairs, we was making $100 at the fairs. If no one liked the candles, people thought they were trash. If we couldn't get like approved to even do any fairs, that would be different, right? So that's why I'm always like insulted, shocked, surprised, offended when people are like, how are you going to pay me back from the candles? How are you going to do that? How is that even possible? Especially when they know. Because even the person earlier that I talked about was like, oh, I don't want to get paid back in 2 or 3 years. And I'm like, how are you going to say that to me after I just said on the podcast you just listened to, my family member said the same thing? And I said on the podcast, I don't like that. And he said the same thing back to me. Just crazy. That's insanity. Right? So, like I said, that fragrance company, we had to submit some business documents for them. And I'm waiting for them. Because if we can that was an unexpected reach out. And I think that if we can work with them, they are one of the fragrance that we use is one of the most expensive ingredients that we have in the candles. So if we can get that down, that's great. The only thing left now, technically, that's it. Is the fragrance, the vessel, and the wax are the most expensive things that we have. And we're going to work on getting those down. The fragrance one, if we can get it down, whoo, listen, man, and you know what that money goes to, guys? Paying people off and growing the business. It's crazy. I'm still hurt by that person who said that they don't care about the business. Now, the next topic is we have sprays coming out, right? So here's a little story about what happened this weekend. So in our last fair, right, we had decided to bring our perfume, room spray, body sprays to the fair just to kind of get an opinion on what people think about them, right? Get some feedback. You know, we sell direct to consumer, so we have immediate feedback from when we talk. Hey, do you like this? Like, nah, we don't like that. All right, bet, trash it. We never really get that response. Most times we drop something like, this is fire, right? So there was one person, she came to the table to kind of smell the candles and whatever, right? So we're talking to her, talking about the candles, talking about what she's going, you know, just what kind of scent she likes, things like that. So she ended up buying a candle. And she was saying that her partner would really love one of the scents. And I'm like, oh, okay. Like, that's dope. She's like, oh, yeah, they're here somewhere. I'm going to go find them. So I'm like, all right, cool. So she brings him over. And he's smelling the scents. He's like, oh, this is great. So I'm like, yeah, what about? I'm like, we got something for you. He's like, what y'all got? I'm like, we got sprays. She was like, okay.
Yeah, I think she said it smelled. She smelled one of the candles. Was like, this smells like it could be a
spray.
A perfume.
Right. And we said, we got that for you, right? We got that. So when she brought him over, we kind of sprung it on him like, yeah, we got sprays. Like, you got sprays? We're like, yeah, we got sprays. So he sprayed like, oh my God. He's like, this smells really good. Like, and people love calling that scent like sexy, androgynous. And I agree with that. Because I said, I think that sexy to me means masculine energy and feminine energy together. That to me is what sexy is defined as. So I'm not surprised that that's what she used to describe the candle. So after we keep chopping it up, he loves the scent, loves the candle. That's the one that she ended up getting. No, she actually got a different one, which is funny enough. She got Do Not Disturb, and the sexy one is room service. So they left. We're like, you guys have a good day. See y'all later. So maybe like 5, 6, 7 minutes go by, and this guy kind of like, there's a guy comes around the corner, like comes around the bend. He's like, hey, what y'all? Yo, can I get that from you? I'm like, what you talking about? He's like, listen, that spray, like it's my birthday, it's her birthday coming up. It's, she really likes the scent. Like, can I buy it off you? And I'm like, we don't even sell it. He's like, y'all don't sell it? I'm like, nah, we don't. It's a sample. We just trying to see people like it. He's like, oh my God, can I buy a sample from you? I'm like, you gonna buy the sample? He's like, I'll buy a sample right now. And I'm like, nah. I'm like, bro, don't even worry about that. Like, just if it's an anniversary gift or a birthday gift, just take it. It's a one on us. We appreciate. Like, nah, I'm gonna pay you for it. I'm like, don't even worry about it. I'm like, nah, because for me, like I said earlier, it's less about the tangible things and more about those relationships. And I feel like it's goodwill. So I think that he'll remember us more if she likes the scent. We gave to him just out of the kindness, like, hey, bro, you like it? By all means, right? Because I also don't want to give him a product where it's like, it's not necessarily done. I charged you for it. It might have some kinks, like as far as the bottle. I'm like, listen, if you like it that much and you want to pay for it, that to me is, you just paid me. You paid me by saying that to me. So here's take this. So that's how I felt. So he's like, listen, when I drop this, I'm gonna buy them online. I'm like, all right, bro. I'm like, cool. That's that. I appreciate that. If you like it so much, when you get it and you use it and you buy it online, we could do something here, right? So he's like, thank you. And he ended up walking off. Now, this same thing happened again later, where someone was like, well, y'all got that scent? Can I buy that from you right now? And I'm like, no, we don't sell this. We are not selling this today. We are just trying to see what people think. But what that tells me is, people really like the scents as a fragrance, as perfumery, right? Cologne, body spray, room spray. So now we're moving that up the totem pole, right? We're doubling down on the spray. People love it. I have realized that in building this company, it is very important to give the people what they want. Like, it sounds so like obviously common, but it's like, no. The hard part about it is figuring out what they want. Because we are at the fairs, we get an immediate response to what people like and what they don't like. So for us, it's always a good thing, as opposed to another business where you can't really do that. So like I said, we're coming out with spray. So in the last week or so, so this week we were looking at like different bottles and different pricing and things like that. And brother, the fragrance market is so insane for price and for what we have to put into it. Our smallest can is $15, right? The smallest perfume that we would sell would probably be like $25, $30. The higher end one gets to like $80, like maybe like $80 now. Damn, maybe like, I think the middle size one is probably closer to like 55, 65. The higher end ones are probably like 100, 120, something in that range. And I think depending on how well the brand or how cohesive the brand is with the fragrance, I think that it'll make people feel better when they buy it. And I think that, again, that's why people can charge certain things for their product, because it is more so about how people feel. It's the price for certain things are just, it's so arbitrary and intangible, the price, right? I think that depending on how much you can put into a product in terms of how somebody feels when they buy it, how great the product is, what they get from buying the product, like I said, how they feel when they tell their friends about it, do they want to brag about it, all those type of things is what allows someone to charge more. I think a lot of times people confuse luxury with expensive, and I feel like luxury originally was supposed to mean quality. Like, quality is expensive because it's not a lot of it out there, and that's why things are higher. And even think about a quality experience. It doesn't have to be something that you pay less for in terms of quality, but if I call a bank or something and the experience I have with them is great, I'm gonna be like, oh well, I don't mind paying this extra fee because I know how y'all care about me, so I trust y'all to do whatever y'all are doing, right? If I have to pay a fee for this and that, it is what it is. But I really think that when it comes to building a brand or building a company, give people what they want, right? And give a lot of value. Those two things. Like, put the person first, give a lot of value. That's how I want to build the brand to be like that. Like, I want people to, when people interact with the brand, I want them to be like, wow, that was an amazing experience. And whenever I hear that at the fair, I feel so good because that's the goal. I'm like, I just want somebody to leave us and go, wow, like, they gave me so much knowledge. I felt good being there. The product is great. They care about the packaging. I love everything. That's what I want people to think about the brand. Next topic is filing taxes. We have finally filed taxes, so we should be getting back like another couple $100 for that, which is always good because, you know, as much as people would love to say that we don't want to pay people back, which is absurd, we are trying to grow the company as fast as we can to pay people back as fast as we can. Like, honestly, the only thing that I think about myself as far as spending money is a new apartment. That's it. Everything else, I'm like, how can I pay people back? The only thing I'm like, if we need a bigger place so I could be more comfortable working. But outside of that, I'm like, if we can make enough money to pay people back, that's what I'm thinking about. If we make enough money every month, start paying everybody back, pay you $5,000 a month, $10,000 a month, because I'm like, if we were able to pay people back $10,000 a month, we would pay every single person back by the end of the year, easily. And again, that's still the goal. Like, we just started Q2 and we found all these different funding opportunities in Q2. Like, we just started Q2. Yeah, remember how crazy Q1 started off and how it ended? Q2 is gonna be crazier than that. Like, it's gonna be even crazier. Now we are going to have the League of Villains segment. So that is the next topic, which is kind of funny because I was looking at it when I was writing it out. That is kind of, League of Villains is LOV. I thought that was interesting.
I wonder if the My Hero people came up with that.
Right.
So it's been a rough week for journaling. The pressure is getting worse. I tend to leave my journal in my work bag, so I forget to take it out, and then I forget to journal throughout the week. But I'm gonna try and do better. Okay, so as you guys know, I'm taking a fast track Black entrepreneur intensive course. It's a 6-week program, and it's every Monday and Wednesday from 6 to 9. I wasn't sure if I was going to enjoy it. I honestly went into it kind of like, okay, I know that we have a lot of experiences. And I know that a lot of the people in that program are going to have varying experiences. So I kind of went into it kind of like, okay, expecting to learn something. I've never done something and not learned anything from it, but I also know that I already have a lot of information myself. So I'm just kind of going into it open-minded, like, okay, let's see if there's my favorite thing when I go into these programs, my favorite thing to learn is the vocabulary for whatever it is. Because even if I understand the concept, even if I'm executing whatever it is that they're talking about, I may not know the vocabulary. I may not know the actual word that is used for that thing. So I might be looking for a specific type of funding or a specific type of marketing plan, but I may not know what the word is for that. And going into these spaces or going into these programs, oftentimes they'll have the word, they'll have the vocabulary that I'm looking for, and that makes it easier for me to search for that thing because now I'm directly looking for that term. So that's one of the things that I appreciate. Another thing that I appreciate about it too, it's kind of funny. We're both kind of taking the course, so like I'll put it on the TV because I figure like sometimes they'll say something interesting that maybe Donovan might be interested in. So that's cool too that we're both doing it together. It's a Zoom call. And another thing that I really was surprised by, this is a 3-hour course, 6 to 9. That's a long fucking time. So I didn't really know what we were going to be doing. I really like our facilitator. So what she does pretty much for like an hour of the course time, she'll have someone come in to speak to us that could help us. And then an hour would be like her kind of going over course material. And then the last hour typically is us talking to each other, like talking to the other people in the course. And like I said, we're all in varying places of our businesses. So some people are still in that ideation phase. Some people, are like us, that's already started selling, that's already gotten funding and stuff like that to some extent, or bootstrapping it. So, and they're in all different industries. So there's some people that's in the tech industry, and there's people that are trying, and they're all black. So it's just really cool. It's a really, really cool space to be in. Well, they're mostly black, a lot. It's very cool. It's very cool. It's very interesting to see the different spaces that, and have those conversations for sure. So I've really been appreciating the course. So yeah, funny enough, I thought I would be dreading it. When I first got the itinerary, it said that you have 2 unexcused absences. I already blocked out in my book which days I'm going to be absent. Like that's just how I am with a college, school. You tell me attendance is 10%, best believe I'm not showing up 100% of the time. So it is what it is. That's just how I am. But I am very excited, and I do look forward to going to the course. It's fun. It's fun to hear the different things, and also Donovan and I have very limited interactions with the same people. Over and over again. We'll have some repeat customers, so that's cool. That's a cool thing that's been forming. We've gotten a lot of repeat customers, coming back. So that's cool because they're kind of building that rapport and building that relationship. One of them even left a Google Maps review, so shout out to that person. But yeah, we have very limited, repetitive interactions with people, so it's kind of cool to be able to go to a place where it's like, hey, okay, Melissa, I heard what you was doing last week. Have you had any progress on that? So like I said, I like it. I do like it a lot more than I thought I would. So another thing that we're going to be talking about today is also the Kiva loan that was paid off. So we put in the application for a new one, and we got word back today. So pretty much how it works is that I request the amount that I want, up to $10,000. They get back to me and tell you how much you actually gonna get. So the first time we did the Kiva loan, I requested $10,000. They came back and said, you could get $1,000. That's how that went, right? So yeah. This time, the same thing again. I asked for $10,000, and they came back today with a number of $6,000. $6,000 could do a lot. It could do a lot. So $6,000 is going to be interest-free payments, and so right now we're just waiting to get that link that's going to start the private fundraising round. Once we get 5 people to privately fundraise it, it's going to go to the masses. Oh, shout out to the New York Small Business Solution Center, specifically Ryan. Literally, once we paid off the Kiva loan, he was like, hey, I saw you paid it off. He's the person that endorsed it last time, and I think his endorsement helped us out tremendously for people funding it so quickly as they did last time. So he was like, yeah, well, let me know when you're ready to go, because I'll endorse y'all again. Here's the link, blah, blah, blah. I'm like, let's do it. I think it's so funny because he's on the same time. He's like, oh,
you need to fix something on the application, you need help, you need me to do anything. It's like, nah, Ryan, is good, I sent it already. So like I said, I am so appreciative, and it's endorsed already. I use ChatGPT this time, so the wording is looking real right. I'm just very super excited. So yeah, once we get that link, once it goes live, we'll see what happens. Once again, Kiva is a platform also that if we do not get it funded to 6,000, we don't get the money. It will refund everyone that has funded it up to whatever point that it's that it got up to prior to the 6,000. So like I said, it funded really quickly last time. I don't know how long it's going to take for 6,000, and it has to be funded within a month. So we'll see. Last topic for the League of Villains section. It's Vivi's company. They told me earlier in the year, they told me while we were at Chelsea in February, that they're going to be coming out with this loan program that does not require any credit, up to $7,500 for marketing, right? So that program finally came out. It came out in the beginning of April. Literally, Q2 started, program came out. Crazy. 7.5. So my point of contact for that program, he went on vacation for a week. We just heard back from Kiva today. I just heard back from my point of contact. So now we're setting up a meeting. The first thing that was kind of an issue was that, like, he's like, okay, you guys have to make at least $10,000 in online sales in the last 12 months. I'm like, shit. Definitely did not do that. We do not. Most of our money is made in the markets, not online. So that's kind of like an issue, and I was vocal, about that. I had the conversation like, hey, we made this amount of money, but it's not how much you guys are requiring. He asked me, okay, how much did you make in online sales? So we made about 6,000. So he's like, that's fine, that's good. I'm like, that's fine. So we're gonna have a meeting next week Tuesday about that program and how to go about it. So if the Kiva loan goes through, and if the very minimum we get $4,000 from this from this loan, that's about 10K right there. And we really wanted to emphasize our online presence. So like, what are the odds that a marketing loan that is specifically for online sales that would give us, like I said, best case scenario, 7.5 comes out in this quarter, in this season. So fingers crossed that goes well. I am so just, I was gonna say tired. I'm so excited. I am so excited for all the things that we're doing, because it's really so much. We put every moment into our business. We put every second, every day, every hour literally goes into the candles. It goes into building this thing, and we absolutely are going to do everything that we said that we would, and that makes me very happy. Okay, I'm about to cry, so here you go.
As Melissa said, we have two possible new funding opportunities between the marketing. It's a loan, the marketing one? Okay. And then the Kiva one. Because I'm just like, I don't know what people think. I don't know what y'all think. Every time I come on here, I do the podcast, we have the vlogs going up. We're at the fairs. Y'all see us at the fairs. Y'all be in the Discord. Y'all see us on Instagram. I don't understand how people could see all of that and go, well, I don't know what they're doing. They obviously not gonna pay me back. Like, I don't know. They just, I don't. Like I said, it's crazy to me to see. And then I got another text the other day when I was in Philadelphia about another similar situation where this person was trying to stand up for someone else who loaned us money, and that conversation decided to go left because, again, this person wanted to defend a person who decided they wanted to insult me, and then they want to insult me themselves. And I'm just like, okay, this is gonna stop, because I have no problem insulting people. I have no problem disrespecting people if you want to disrespect me. I used to care a lot more. I care a lot less now. I'm very open, talk to anybody about anything and about everything. If I can help somebody, I will. So for someone to then come to me with that kind of animosity and malice, I have no regrets when it comes to how I respond to you at all. In the slightest, I don't have a regret about it. If anything, I have more regret when I don't say anything, if we're being honest. Okay. And then the last topic of the day is, actually, funny enough, two more topics. One is more of a statement. So we were considering doing a new merchant cash advance because, like I said, the company, we're trying to grow it as fast as possible. And there are certain things we need to buy, such as the new fragrance bottles and the new fragrance and the fragrance alcohol and the new candle wax and the new fragrance for the new candles and new fairs that are coming up. There's a lot of things that we're trying to get to so that we can at least stabilize it. So we were considering another MCA loan, right? And I think it's very interesting because we were considering that maybe like last week, and then God said, here's a bag. He said, here's a Kiva loan, here's a marketing loan. So if we get approved for that, we don't need a merchant cash advance at all, because honestly, they might only give us like $3,000. So it's like,
with crazy interest,
right? And it's daily payments.
I just looked at the interest for the marketing loan, 3%. 3% for the marketing loan. For people who like to claim they don't charge us interest, this person is charging us 3% on the marketing loan. Okay, 3%. So I'm saying, like, come on. I'm just like, bruh, I don't understand people. I don't understand. I guess it's not my job to understand, right? And then there's a site called Pim Eyes. This is something I found the other day, which is, guys, is insanity. It's PIMEYES. You take a picture of yourself, you upload it to the website, and it'll find all the pictures of you on the internet. PIMEYES. That's insane that it does that. So I want to leave you out with that interesting thing that I found. We were gonna switch storage units, but we decided to stay. So we're locked in at this one. Funny content coming soon. We're gonna have to go and drive out to a dock to pick up the vessels, because it's cheaper to have it delivered to a port than it is to have it delivered door to door. So I've never went to a port to pick up anything, so this will be my first time. I don't know if I gotta like go on a boat. I think I'll bring it to the curb, start like back into I have no idea. So that's gonna be kind of fun. That might probably be in like a month or so from now. The bags are done almost, like the shopping bag. I'll post a video of that too. So the only thing you have to do is update the rope, because they put ribbon to the rope, so the rope is a lot better, it looks better. So we're gonna do that. But you can find all the behind the scenes content on our social medias. This was a long one, you guys. All right. DonivanGray, DonivanGray, and my phenomenal, beautiful, amazing girlfriend, Anita Burn, ANETABURN. You know what it is? Hashtag Bamboo Project 2023. The road to 500K. And with that being said, Bamboo Project out.